Lalla Fatma N'Soumer, Lalla Fatma N'Soumer in Kabyle, Lalla Faḍma N'Soumer, in Tifinagh, also known as Fatma de Soummeur or Summer, born in 1830 in Ouerdja, Kabylia and died in 1863 in Tablat, was a figure of the Algerian resistance movement during the first years of the conquest of Algeria by France. From 1854 to July 1857, she led a resistance against the French. Captured by French forces, she was imprisoned until her death 6 years later. Etymology: her nickname is made up of Lalla, a word of Berber origin, given as an honorary title or mark of respect to women because of their age or rank, or designating a holy or revered woman, and N'Soumer, the name of the village near which was located the Zaya to which his lineage, the Sidamed, belonged. She also bears the nickname of Lalla Ouerdja, which, in the Kabyle tradition, is given to young girls who refuse to resign themselves to customs and traditions. Biography: origin: Lalla Fatma, born Fathma Amadou N'Soumer, was born in 1830 in the village of Ouerdja in the current commune of Kabylia, near El Hammam in Kabylia, Algeria. Her father was the head of a school Quranic linked to a Zaya of the Romania Brotherhood of Sidi Mahmoud Kabrin, whose teaching she follows, usually reserved for boys. She belongs to the lineage of Marabout Amadou N'Soumer. Having chosen devotion and meditation, Fatma gradually established herself in the world of mediation and politico-religious consultation, which until then had been reserved for men. With her lineage, she exerts a great influence on Kabyle society. At the age of 20, she refuses an imposed marriage. In 1849, Fatma N'Soumer entered the resistance and rallied to see Mohammed al-Hashemi, a Marabout who took part in the insurrection of Sheikh Boumaza in the Dara in 1847 and 1850. She supported the uprising of Cherif Boubagla from the Berbers region. The Assembly of Sumr, Tajma, political authority of the village, delegates Lalla Fatma and his brother Sidi Tahir, Marabouts, to lead the Mziblan volunteers of death who come from many villages in the Gergera region such as Aitsori, Ililtan, Ait Iratan, Ilulan Umalu. In 1854, she won her first battle against French forces at Tazraout village of Kabylia, near El Hammam, known as the Battle of Hotsay Bay. It lasts 2 months. From June to July 1854, the French troops are defeated and forced to withdraw. The surrounding villages are still independent. The French troops, estimated at 13,000 men led by Generals Macmahon and Maciot, faced strong resistance. In 1857, the troops of Marshal Randon succeeded in occupying Iratan following the Battle of Acheridan. The Battle of Acheridan took place on June 24, 1857, in Acheridan, Kabylia, between French troops led by Jacques-Louis Randon and a Kabyle army. Context: on June 23, 1857, Macmahon's division established itself on a high position at Aboudid, and the 2 other divisions below. The bivouac extends over 5 leagues, but 5 kilometers from Aboudid, on the peak of Acheridan, 5,000 Kabyle warriors entrenched themselves in the village and fortified it. Macmahon attacks what some have dubbed the Kabyle Elysia. To submit these warrior populations of Gergera, it took all the resources of the art of war. After several clashes, the Zouaves of the 2nd Regiment, and despite the reinforcements, failed to subdue the last defenders of Kabyle, who to honor their fall, even armed their children. This brilliant and terrible fight on the plateau of Acheridan, emanating from the submission of the great Kabyle, ends the conquest of Algeria. Procedure: 5,000 Kabyles are entrenched in the village, which they have taken care to fortify. Macmahon orders the assault. The 3 divisions set out simultaneously on June 24. After a shelling of the artillery which leaves the Kabyle impassive, Macmahon then gives the order to the 3rd column, made up of the 2nd Foreign Regiment, to circumvent the entrenchments. The 1st Battalion of the regiment, under the orders of Commander L.N. Mangan, moved under the grape shot calmly and resolutely, without retaliating. The 2nd Battalion advances from the right, The first breaks through in the center, assisted by the Zouaves. The Kabyles are caught in the vice which is tightening. Despite a steady rain of bullets, the Kabyles follow, with astonishment, the French column. The battalion approaches the flank of the entrenchments. The Kabyles, caught in the rear, fled. Consequences: Grand Kabylie is conquered. The battle cost the French a number of 400 men including 30 officers. General MacMahon is wounded. Captain Charles Denis Bourbaki narrowly escapes death. Marshal Rendon promises to impose neither Qad's nor califats, and allows the tribes to keep their laws and gemmas. Following work at the eastern exit of the village of Ouerdja in 2006, more than 650 anonymous graves, dating back nearly 2 centuries, were discovered. The graves would be those of the resistance fighters who fell during the capture of Larbanathi-Rathan and the Battle of Ouerdja. The villagers of Ouerdja have decided to honor these anonymous resistance fighters by building a stele in their memory. The fighting is fierce, and the French loss is considerable. Fatma forms a nucleus of resistance in the hamlet Taklat Aatsu, near to Ouerdja. On July 11, 1857, Fatma was arrested by General Yusuf. She was taken to Marshal Rendon's camp in Timeswita, and was imprisoned in the Zawiya of El Asaya, in Tablat, then placed under house arrest under the guard of Si Tahir Ben Mahidine. She died there in 1863, at the age of 33, tried by her incarceration and affected by the death of her brother in 1861. The leaders, Si Haj Mohand Amar, Si Sadiq Ben Arab, Si Al-Jawdi and Sidi Tahir, are forced to surrender. His grave remains a place of pilgrimage for the inhabitants of the region for a long time. His ashes were transferred in 1994 from the cemetery of Sidi Abdallah, 100 meters from the Zawiya Boumli in Turdatine, to the Car des Martyrs of the cemetery of El Alia, in Algiers. Personality and character: Al-Khari, writer, and Alphonse Fran is brother and doctor during the Kabylia campaign in 1857, both accompanying the French troops. Describe it. Only the prophetess, forming disparate with her people, is neat to elegance. Despite her exaggerated plumpness, her features are beautiful and expressive. The kohl spread over her eyebrows and eyelashes enlarges her large black eyes. She has carmine on her cheeks, henna on her nails, bluish tattoos, scattered like flies on her face and arms. Her neatly plaited black hair escapes from a bright scarf, tied in the fashion of women. Antillean Creoles. Veils of white gauze surround her collar and the lower part of her face, rising under her hairstyle like the veils of Rebecca in Ivanhoe. Her slender, white hands are laden with rings. She wears bracelets, pins, jewelry more than an antique idol. Fatma is a kind of idol, with a rather beautiful head but tattooed all over her body and so prodigiously plump that 4 men could not help her walk. All the soldiers were shouting "Make way for the Queen of Pamir," and made 1,000 good or bad jokes about her. The next day she was released, but the moment she was in our hands, all resistance ceased. Historian Georges Duby describes Lalla Fatma N'Soumer as the big, voluminous beauty, the Veleda, Germanic prophetess. Between myth and reality, Lalla Fatma N'Soumer comes from a powerful and respected family. Living recluse in her room, she prays day and night, officiates at ceremonies, and takes care of the poor. Belonging to the Rahmaniya Brotherhood, she is considered a Berber prophetess, or guide of a Sufi tariqa Muslim mystic. The arrival of French legionary troops in the region, and dominating as a master, the Kabyle leader Cherif Boubagla set the region ablaze. Lalla organizes the insurrection by collecting the food necessary for the insurgents. Small and massive, she believes in her lucky star and her celestial power. According to witnesses at the time of her capture, she appears haughty and arrogant on her doorstep, and with an almost threatening look, she pushes aside the bayonets of the French Zouaves, to throw herself into the arms of her brother Mohammed Sidi Taib. His brother, Marabout, covered with war scars, is a brave, combative warrior and defender of freedoms. He engages in the resistance against the colonization of French troops. Consulted as a sage, of revered and emancipated parentage, belonging to a family of Marabouts from the Ililtan tribe. Tributes. A statue of Lalla Fatma N'Soumer was made by Bezes Hamash and Tzldjama at Bu Yusuf. Its name was given to a liquefied natural gas LNG tanker of the Algerian Merchant Navy, with a capacity of 145,000 m3, received in 2004 in Osaka, Japan. The life of Lalla Fatma N'Soumer was the subject of a film by Belkacem Hadid released in 2014. Statues of Lalla Fatma N'Soumer are exhibited in Algeria. Some schools and streets bear his name in Algeria. A street in Brussels bears his name since 2020. The Tablat Mixed High School now bears his name.